Hi there, and welcome to today's webinar on 9 marketing secrets for mental health professionals. Hi, I'm Brad Sweezy, president of Just Small Biz Marketing. We have a site called justtherapist.com, and we have a whole division that is focused on helping therapists get more clients and get more revenue. Most of our premium clients are not using health insurance or benefits like that to get paid. They're getting paid via cash, check, etc., without involving the insurance companies, which is a good thing. Let's take a look and start moving ahead, okay? This is on here basically because a lot of mental health professionals who try to go out on their own don't do well. Over time, especially if they don't take insurance, etc., they see their practices fail, and obviously we don't want that. This storefront example is a little bit graphic, and it's not necessarily pertaining to mental health professionals, but typically you don't see that when a mental health professional goes out of business. They just close up their office and move on. Here's what we're going to talk about today. These are the 9 secrets, and I've got a few bonus secrets. The first one is knowing who your ideal client is. The second secret is overcoming blandness. The third secret is offering continuing and new value. The fourth secret is getting the right people to notice your business. Number 5 is having a system for continuing contact. Number 6, wowing them. Number 7, counting beans. Number 8, tracking efforts to make sure you're reaching your goals. And number 9, developing a marketing plan yearly. And then I'll give it a summary and actually go into some bonus secrets. This is a little bit about myself. I was an active duty officer in the United States Air Force. I also was a reserve officer. I worked in and outside of the federal government for corporations and started my own business in 2011. I did also go to Georgetown Law. You'll see it in my experience, but I worked at the Food and Drug Administration for a year or two, and that was a very eye-opening experience. The bottom line is I have 20 plus years experience when it comes to marketing and public relations, and I've worked with a variety of clients in a variety of professions, and I believe my record shows that we can generally generate business for clients. You can look up my name and see me in a variety of publications across the U.S. and some international play. I wrote a column for Florida Today on small business, and if you don't think yourself as a business, you need to start thinking a little bit like a business to be successful. These are some of the clients' experience on the bigger, larger scale. You can see those different things along those lines. And these are more small businesses and healthcare professionals. You can tell that the healthcare professionals are the ones there you can see their photos, and this is just a sampling of them. The first secret is knowing who your ideal client is and who it isn't. Many mental health professionals really have no idea who their ideal client is. And you really have to start looking at, are there commonalities you have measured? Chances are most of your clients are going to probably be women. That just seems to be the way it works in the mental health profession. But can you break down that even more? Do you notice that most of your clients are mothers, middle-aged mothers, young mothers? Do they tend to drive nicer cars, lesser cars, not nicer cars, but cheaper cars? Do they have a history of broken marriages, or were they adopted children? Were they single? All these kind of factors that you have to ask yourself to try to find that commonality, because the more you can do that, the better you can target your marketing efforts. I mean, if you had a therapy practice and it was focused on helping soccer moms deal with the anxiety of their daughters playing soccer, something like that, then you could really just target your efforts on soccer moms. You just could really start being the one that people, soccer moms, etc., go to. So you can do that, and you don't waste your money on some of the other things that are out there. The second thing is overcoming blandness. You have to look at, why are you different than other therapists? Otherwise, you're just a commodity, and price becomes the basis for decision. You see it all the time, probably. People go on sites like Good Therapy or Psychology Today, they look for a therapist and they email 5 therapists at once or 10 therapists at once. And a lot of times they're looking for the price, and they'll disqualify you just based on the price. They'll also disqualify you if, your picture looks bad. And I'm not saying you're bad looking, but if your picture's a bad one. And there are some bad photos out there. So if you don't have a good photo, get a good photo, because it does matter. People are going to look at you because they're the ones who are going to sit there and tell their deep, darkest secrets to. So they really want to see who the therapist is. But if you had done what I said before, is thinking about your target market, then you can better position yourself as a therapist that focuses on X. And don't be one of those therapists who say, my specialty is anxiety, depression, PTSD, hoarding, couples counseling, marriage counseling, LGBT issues, everything else like that. You're not a specialist if you're doing everything. So specialize. If that's what you want to do and go after a particular market, then make everything focused along those efforts. Another way you should do is go, why are you better than doing nothing or whatever they're doing now? Particularly when it comes to men, most of the time, men, myself included, we don't want to ask for help for anything. And it's only when we have a metaphorical gun pointed to our head sometimes that we'll go make change. So you need to, think about that. If you're seeking to attract men and be a counselor that focuses on men and men's issues, then let's make sure your marketing efforts and your marketing materials focus on that. And by that, most of your marketing materials are a Psychology Today web page and your website. Okay. The other thing is you can offer a free report, which is one way of standing out. 7 things to look for when you're looking for mental health help or looking for a couples counselor, a marriage counselor, etc. I also talked before about serving one niche, so you could do that. Cost is something that you can do if you want to specialize in that, and doesn't mean you can be the cheapest. You can be the most expensive. You could say, I am the most expensive therapist in my county. And you're going to get certain people who want that. They think more is better. It's not always less is better, but granted, each market's particularly different in what you can charge, but you might want to do that and think about charging more. The third secret is offering continuing and new value. Getting new clients is expensive. Now, in the past, maybe it was a little bit easier for you to grow your mental health practices without spending much money, etc. But in reality, you do have to spend some money to get there. And if you say, the only thing I do is I put something on Psychology Today and I get more than enough referrals, I don't know if I necessarily buy that from a systematic perspective. There may be times when you're getting business from Psychology Today, but there are also times when you're not getting much. And so that's where you have to have a system in place. And one of the things you can do is offering continuing and new value to your clients. Before I get into that, I want to talk about how much it costs for you to get a new client. Our data, which is based on actually real life getting therapist business, is typically you spend about 50% to 100% of your first session cost to get that new business. Now, that may be a shock to you. That may not sit well with you, but it's really a matter of mathematics. If you want 10 new clients and you charge $100 an hour, then you need to be prepared to invest $1,000 to get the 10 new clients. That's just the reality. Sometimes you'll get more for that. Sometimes you'll get less. But if you go in with that mindset, you'll do better, and you'll invest the money because you know that in the end, it will produce continuing clients, which are going to produce continuing profit for you. So when you do that, you get a client, you treat them, you do 5 to 8 sessions, etc. You need to offer something else down the road, and that's where you need to think a little bit about some add-on type of programs that you might be able to offer the client. A 6-month checkup, so to speak, a at-home series of videos or audios or podcasts, etc., that you can use to continue to engage your client and still make some residual income, which will make the stress you feel a little bit better. Number 4 goes along with what I've said a little bit or alluded to, is you have to have a system for continuing contact with clients and future clients. Because if you don't, they're going to ask the question, who are you again? You know, once they express interest, or our clients, your regular contact with them is crucial. You don't have to, email them every day or every week, but once a month, it's a great idea to have emails that go out, an email newsletter, etc., that just has mental health news. We certainly help our clients do that, and you can do the same. And it's just touch points. People like reading about stuff, when it comes to anything with relationships, of any kind. People tend to like to read that kind of news. So you can just clip a couple articles and then build your e-newsletter that way. It's definitely an easy thing to do, and if you don't do it, you're literally throwing money away. The fifth secret is getting the right people to notice your practice. Now, I put this picture up here because I think it's a kind of funny picture. But let's say you were a wine merchant and you're trying to get people to try your wine, vineyard, etc. You could attract the wrong people who are there just because you're offering free wine, and they happen to show up and they'll drink the free wine. But they're really Budweiser drinkers or beer drinkers, etc. So you really have to think about who you want to target, okay? And we talked a little bit about that earlier by defining your market. If you don't think about who you want to target, you're going to advertise in the wrong places. Now, I've seen some therapists advertise in like on menus. You can see, not menus, the placemats you can see at diners and other restaurants. I've seen some attempt to take ads out in newspapers, which is crazy. I've seen a few and helped a few, run ads in Google, etc., Google ads, etc. But if you're not thinking about who your target market is, you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to throw away a lot of money. And I think I talk about the unintended effects of an offer. And you have to go about and go, let me think this through. For example, if you're a cash-only client, cash-only practitioner, then sometimes you need to put that in your ad. Do not accept insurance. It's going to certainly cut down the number of people who contact you, but when you're paying per lead, you want that. You don't want people who aren't going to be able to afford your services to contact you. It's just flat out. And you have to think about everything that needs to be done has to be done to attract the clientele that you're seeking for. You can't be all things to all people, especially as a mental health professional. And if you say everyone is your client, no one is. I've heard that time and time again. Just like I say, if your specialty is everything, your specialty is nothing. Because somebody can come in and go, listen, this is my specialty. This is what I do. I don't do anything else. I've got a client who does not like doing any type of marital or couples counseling at all. She strictly wants to deal with PTSD and related, issues to PTSD. That's her focus, and so it makes it easier for us to target who she wants. The sixth secret is you got to wow them, and the key is getting a new client is the start of your work, not the end. And you know that better than anyone else when you're doing that mental health counseling. You know that you're going to begin that relationship. And the first session may even be the easiest, but it definitely is probably going to get harder as that goes. But the more you can wow them and show them that, listen, you're somebody who's going above and beyond anybody else, that's a great thing you can do. Especially if they've been in therapy before, you really have the opportunity to stand out. And you can ask why did you stop having therapy before, and get some kind of feedback so you can wow them. And I know you're not going to get a huge number of referrals when it comes to mental health a lot of the times because people don't want to discuss it. That's one of the problems in our system. But you may get a referral once in a while, and you may get them to even come back, especially if you offer them some value-added services. The seventh secret is counting beans. You have to know the cost and value of everything you do with marketing. It's really crucial to do this, and it's hated by mental health professionals. It really is. You don't want to deal with the numbers. You got into counseling probably because you're not a numbers person. You're more intuitive feeling. You're a great listener, etc. Numbers are not something you want to deal with, but you really have to know about that, because if you don't, you're going to make bad decisions. And one example I have here is, which is a better value, $50 for 2,500 views or $700 for 75,000 views? And assuming we have the right target market, the $700 for 75,000 views is a much better deal than the $50 for 2,500 views. So you have to think about that. The eighth secret is you got to track your efforts to make sure you're reaching your goals. How do you know if something's working if you can't measure it? Automatic measurement is best. When we do Google AdWords for people, they obviously get tracked, and just like Psychology Today, but when the call comes through, it gets tracked, so you know what is working and what's not working. Tracking phone numbers, like I talked about, are a great way to do that. You can have different landing pages and web pages, and we do that. If a therapist is, say she's doing weight loss and couples counseling, not weight loss counseling, but weight issues. She's got anxiety about her weight. You can have two separate pages that just focus on that each particular area. So you can have one page focus on anxiety with because of weight, and then couples counseling, and the two will never meet. And so when somebody responds to an ad or something, they go to and see what they expect to see and not see something else. The other thing is you really need to spend 2 to 4 hours a week marketing. Yeah, that is what I said, marketing your practice and thinking about your practice and checking out what other people are doing, other therapists are doing, and that kind of stuff. And I'll talk a little bit about that in our bonus secrets. But typically a rule of thumb is if you want your practice to grow, you really need to have about 10% of your revenue go back into marketing your practice. So if you're just doing Psychology Today, you're probably just chugging along, right? Just chugging along, not really growing too much, not really declining too much, just chugging along. And if you really want to grow, you got to put your business hat on and you got to market. And that's something that more and more mental health professionals are recognizing they need to do. The ninth secret is really you got to develop a structured marketing plan. I mean, sometimes you talk about treatment plans. You have to have a focus on how to get where you want to go. And here it's important to distinguish between advertising and marketing. Advertising is basically one method to reach potential clients. So it's advertising methods are direct mail, Facebook ads, pay-per-click ads, Psychology Today, Good Therapy ads. That's advertising. Marketing, on the other hand, is a structured plan that can include a number of advertising channels that help you reach the desired goals. Why is that important? You have a desired outcome and you have a method to get there. Okay? If you don't have a plan, you really have no way to get there. You're just going in there and it's free flow, free association type of stuff. It's not generally going to work to get you where you need to go. And the key is it gets you to react keeps you from reacting to every salesperson who may deal with your business and try to get you to put your money in their various avenue. This is a summary, but if you hold on a second, I'm going to give you a little bit, a few bonus secrets. So you build your mental practice methodically. You can use these secrets to help your practice, and don't be afraid to seek help, especially when you can measure whether it's working. You say that with people with mental health. Don't be afraid to seek help. Well, you don't need to be afraid to seek help either. Just in case you're not interested in the bonus secrets, which really to me are very cool, I just want to emphasize we do methodical marketing planning and results-based marketing implementation, which saves clients money and helps maximize opportunities for new and continued business. That's my email, brad@justsmallbiz.com. You can also go to brad@justtherapist.com and reach me through there. Now let's take a look at the bonus secrets. The first one is becoming a perceived expert in the media or community. Now, do you know enough about mental health to talk about it? Chances are you do. And if I asked you how many mental health professionals know more about you in your particular area, would you be able to answer that? Saying 1, 2, or maybe 0? The point is people may not even know who they are, but you can start making them aware that you're the one who should be sought out because you're the expert when it comes to whatever you're doing, whatever your specialty is. And what makes it better for you is many mental health professionals are introverts, and so they're uncomfortable with doing this. So it's an easier opportunity for you. So you become the expert by becoming willing to talk with media when there's something going on. Be their go-to person. Let's say there was a shooting, for example. There's so many of them these days you can't even keep track. But you can then contact the media, you follow your local reporters and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about some things that could help people deal with a situation like that if it happened. And the more you do that, the easier it is for you to become the one they call automatically. Here's an example of me. I have no problem talking about marketing and public relations. I mentioned I did write a column for Florida Today on small business marketing, and I have, I don't know how many articles written about me or by me about marketing, so I'm comfortable talking to the media. The second thing is you get involved in a charity or volunteer organizations. I know that's tough to do, especially if you're in a smaller community and you don't want to run into clients, etc. But it really is a great way to get back to the community, and it allows you often to network with people who are probably going to be able to afford your cash services, your cash counseling services. So it's really important to do. I myself was on the board of directors of the Community Band of Brevard. I'm the vice president of the Cape Canaveral Air Force Association. I help do marketing for the Kenny Spacer Education Foundation. I'm a gubernatorial appointee to the Cape Canaveral Hospital Board District. So I get involved in my community, and it really is a useful thing and does good for the community at the same time. The third secret, and this one is, dropped the mic there. This one is directly related to you, is you got to develop and test your messages. If you don't test, you are going to leave money on the table. Because what you think causes people to act is different than really what causes them to act. And here's an example of one of my clients. We've got a couple ads running, and if you look at it, look at the third ad and the first ad. The headline is the same, right? The only difference is the second line. One says your relationship can be saved. The third one says save your relationship now. Okay? That first one outpulled the third one by 460%. Okay? Same amount of money spent, so to speak, per click, and one outpulled by that much. That makes a huge difference in what kind of clients and how many clients you're going to get. So that's something we do, is we test. We're always testing, because testing means you're going to better your chances of being successful. And here's just another example. This is a client of ours. The only difference between the first one and the second one is the picture. 83% difference in response because we had a picture with kids, so to speak, using the boat, as opposed to an empty boat. The fourth secret is you got to know the competition better than they know themselves. I know you're in the healthcare field, and there's a lot of sharing of resources and everything going on, but the reality is there's only a limited number of people who need help, and they're going to go somewhere. So you need to be aware of what the other competitors in your area are doing. What are the other therapists doing? What does their websites look like, etc. And just assume that they're doing the same to you. This is a chart where we compared some law firms for one of our clients, but we gave it an overall rating, but it's important to do. Here's what an example is. You could do knowing competition. So we just researched Affordable Marriage Counseling Orlando, and these three came up. These are three ads that came up. And Marriage Max, you're probably familiar with Marriage Max, because if you aren't, just Google couples counseling, marriage counseling, etc. There's probably going to be a Marriage Max related ad out there. And based on our research, they spend about $20,000 a month on pay-per-click. That's $20,000 a month. Now, they're nationwide, but just gives you an idea where they're coming from. Well, we can see which ads they're tending to run their ads for, which keywords. And then on the right here, you can see the ads they typically do. So we can see what's working for them and what's not working, and use that as a starting point for ads that we're doing. In summary, once again, you got to build your business methodically. You can use these secrets in helping you grow your practice. Don't be afraid to seek help. And that includes our briefing for today. What we'll do is you will send a follow-up email that will give you a free listing on justtherapist.com, as well as some other items for you, including doing a Google AdWords campaign that really grows business. Okay, thank you.